Ready.
Okay, we ready?
That's ready.
Yes, sir, we're ready. All right, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Oldham County Fiscal Court. Happy to have you here today on the 18th day of April, 2024. If you have a cell phone with you, please turn it to off or vibrate. We welcome our TV viewers and anybody who is listening somewhere else. So if you're able, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to ask Allison Thompson to call the roll, please.
Magistrate Likens.
Here.
Magistrate Tice.
Here.
Magistrate Woosley.
Here.
Magistrate Jeffries.
Here.
Magistrate Hounds.
Here.
Magistrate Hawkins. Here. Magistrate Dye.
Present.
Magistrate Logston. Judge Vogel.
Here. Having 8 of the 9 members of the fiscal court present, this meeting is now in session. Is there a motion to accept the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Are there any additions or deletions requested? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Now, we'll have approval of our minutes from the last meeting. That meeting took place on April 2nd. Assume everybody's had a chance to review the minutes. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Are there any questions or clarifications? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Now we're at the public comment for today's meeting. Is there anyone who's come to address the fiscal court? You're welcome to do so now. We normally allow 4 minutes unless this topic requires further discussion.
Jim Allen, 1460 Oldham View Drive, president of Crystal Lake. Last week we had a sinkhole open up under one of our roads. It's one of the ones where the buses go over it all the time. And the road department came out and immediately fixed it. And I just wanted to say thanks. Great service, and we appreciate the help.
You're welcome. That's what we're trying to do. All right. Thank you, Jim.
All right. Good afternoon. Amy Alvey, Oldham County Clerk. Just wanted to brief everyone real quick that is here today or watching regarding the elections. Jay, can I have the overhead? So just a reminder that registration deadline to change any of your information or to register to vote is April 22nd, 2024 at 4 o'clock. So by end of business on April 22nd, you have to have all of your updated information into the state. And that is, you visit the state website at govote.ky.gov. So everybody just needs to make sure that they are aware of that. Secondly, the absentee ballot portal has opened. That, again, is done through the state. You go online and you register to receive your absentee ballot. You have to check the specific reason of why you cannot vote during either the 6-day excused, 3-day no excuse, or election day. And they do call people to verify if you say you're going to be out of the state or out of the country. They will follow up with those if you get audited. And we've been lucky enough to be audited twice now, so with the elections. So the absentee ballot portal is open April 6th through May 7th. This year, because it is presidential, I have put ballot boxes, receptacle ballot boxes at the Crestwood and the Prospect locations. We check those and then we have to mark which ones were received, or how many, the count, not who it was, the amount that was received by each ballot box each day. So we haven't sent that many out yet. I think we've sent out about 25 so far since April 6th. So if you need an absentee ballot, you're not going to be able to vote during those 3 options that I just spoke of, you can request one through the state. And then coming soon, This is the election card that will be mailed out to every household in Oldham County. It gives all of the locations. It talks about the absentee ballot process as well as the excuse and no excuse early voting. And then the May 21st election day, we will be utilizing the same 9 voting centers that we had in the previous election. And the voting hours are from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. So that hopefully will go out. They promised me we would have them 30 days out before the election starts. So hopefully beginning of next week, they'll be going. Yeah. It's not taking very long. And then finally, this is the composite ballot. This is on the county clerk's Facebook page as well as our website. It will be advertised in the Oldham Era as required. There has been some questions regarding to why some of the presidential candidates are still listed on the ballot. So I reached out to State Board of Elections today and the Secretary of State's office, and their response is that the candidate they can suspend their campaign for the presidential election, but they are required to notify the state and formally withdraw from the race. If they do not do that by January 17th, they will remain on the ballot. So none of these candidates that suspended their election for presidential election, none of them sent the paperwork to the state by January 17th. So that's why they are still on the ballot. Unless they send their withdrawal papers before the election, anyone that would vote for anyone that has withdrawn from the election will still count because they are still an eligible candidate in the state of Kentucky. So unless they withdraw, they will remain on the ballot. And the ballots, this is the composite ballot. If someone does formally withdraw from the state, then the Secretary of State's office notifies all 120 counties, and we post those in the voting centers. So the people that, when they come to vote, it's no different than it is the process on a local level. But we get that notification through the Secretary of State's office because that is who they file their candidacy with. The other question that we've had a lot of is the uncommitted box that is on the ballot. You'll see that under both parties. That uncommitted means if they color in that square for uncommitted, that means that they are not voting for any of the candidates that are listed under their party, but they are supporting the party. So if it's a Democrat and they color in uncommitted, they're not voting for anybody on that ballot, and those votes do count. And then it gets into a whole math equation if there's more than 15% and all of that. And the Secretary of State's office suggested that if anyone has detailed questions on that, that they need to reach out to their party leaders on what happens if 15% of the vote, because then it changes delegate counts and all that kind of stuff. So I just wanted to formally get on the record or during public comment, and I will update this on our Facebook page, which then updates directly to our website as well, because there has been some discussion on social media of why those are on there. So just wanted to clarify that. That's all I have.
All right, thank you, Amy.
Thank you.
Amy,
Yes, I'm sorry.
do you have enough poll workers?
If everyone comes that has committed to work, we have election school this Thursday at the John Black Center at 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. and kind of have an agreement with Henry County. If they need to send someone that can't attend theirs, they'll come to ours, vice versa. So if everyone stays committed to where they're at, I have 3 floaters built in. That'll basically be on call. But I know, things, illnesses happen, family emergencies happen and stuff. But, come November, I really don't, based off of what we've had so far for absentee ballots, the turnout may be at what we were in November of last year, but not as much. But we know November of '24 is going to be extremely busy. So it's going to be one of those that some counties have poll workers. They attend training, and then they basically are on call. So if you put them on call and they don't come in, they get like $100 a day or $100 for election day just because they're on call if someone comes out. But you cannot be a poll worker unless you attend the training, and that's the big hurt in that, is that if they don't attend the April 18th, they can't work May 21st. So people are like, why didn't you call me? I could have come in. Well, you didn't come in for April. You didn't sign up, and B, you didn't attend training, so you can't do that. So.
Manager Jeffries.
Just one quick question. The new statute passed on the increase in pay for workers.
That I don't know. We have a clerks meeting next week. We're locking down the voting machines tomorrow. Oldham County Board of Elections locking down the machines tomorrow. We have training on Thursday. I'm doing individual clerk training Tuesday and Wednesday for our election clerks, and then meeting in Lexington on Thursday. And Trey Grayson is supposed to update us on all of that legislation. So there was quite a few small changes to the election laws and stuff about electioneering and things of that nature. So Trey's supposed to update us all on that. And once he usually provides us a summary. I'll be happy to share that with everyone.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you, Amy. I'd like the minutes to reflect that Magistrate Logston arrived at 2:10. Is there anybody else who would like to address fiscal court? Seeing no one, I'm going to close the public comment and go on to the first real item on the agenda here. It's kind of a public comment item, but it's also an announcement and information flow here about our Oldham County Bicentennial Trail. So we welcome David Bazanis from the Oldham County Chamber of Commerce.
Thank you, Judge. Get going here. All right, good afternoon, fiscal court members. My name is David Bazanis. I'm with the Oldham Chamber and Economic Development Office, and I am here today to represent a collaborative effort between the Oldham County Bicentennial Committee, the Oldham County History Center, Oldham County Parks and Recreation, Oldham County Planning and Development, and the Chamber of Commerce to promote not a new project, but kind of a new idea or a new approach to a new project. As a lot of folks are familiar with the walking and multi-use trail that goes down Commerce Parkway and exists in multiple places throughout the county. This group has come together in an effort to try to focus on a quality of life feature in Oldham County to bring some awareness to and to champion for a larger big picture project. And so with the hopes of this group, we are planning to request that fiscal court consider memorializing this area as the Oldham County Bicentennial Trail. And to do that, we have created an event that will occur the day before Oldham County Day, where we're going to have a 5K, 10K walk run to bring some awareness to the project and show some of the features of it. I put together a few slides to kind of demonstrate or show what we're talking about here, and the chair of the Bicentennial Committee, Nancy Dahlgren, is here also in support. Nancy Tice from the History Center was not able to be here, nor was Gary Parsons, so you guys are going to have to deal with me here. So. We're excited about the collaboration. This is a project we expect that to be fully achieved, it will take multiple years, multiple stakeholders and leaders in the community to see it through. And so we are hoping to bind this group tight together and invite others to participate in the effort. The goal of the project is to enhance Oldham County's quality of life, and by doing that, we hope to honor the 200-year history of Oldham County, connect Oldham County communities, encourage healthy lifestyles, and celebrate Oldham County's beauty. This is a Google Earth map that I had drawn. It's very rough. It kind of shows the possibilities to connect the path that is along Commerce Parkway across through Buckner and through Crestwood and ultimately into Pee Wee Valley. I'll point up here. At this point in LaGrange, which is close to LaGrange Baptist Church, following Commerce Parkway, across 393, across the Commerce Parkway extension, up Mattingly Road onto Old LaGrange Road, across exit 17 where the pedestrian walkway was constructed, I believe in 2011, and then into Crestwood, which will pass Udell Gardens, the Kentucky Artisan Distillery, and Third Turn Brewing, and ultimately into the Maples Park and beyond. So this is in an area that's approximately 8 miles long. And so for the event that we hope to use to show off and kind of announce this type of a walking trail to the community, here's some pictures that were taken. This was Nancy Tice she had biked this Sunday and took a couple of pictures. This is me out of my sunroof taking the pictures. This is the picture on the right. You can see at the end of the Commerce Parkway extension where the walkway stops. And then the red car picture on the left-hand side is where you continue up Mattingly Road, but there's no walkway. So obviously it's a little close to traffic and not necessarily the safest, but ultimately planning to be able to have some sort of a sidewalk or walkway there will ultimately be a goal that we want to have. I'll come back to this. For the event, the 5K, 10K walk, run, the blue area kind of shows the course that we have picked out. Now, obviously, there's not a lot of folks that are going to be able to manage going all the way to the end of this thing necessarily. It's easier on a bike, easier on a bike than it would be walking or running. And so we will be starting the walk run at the Sourback Family Drive-In where folks can park cars. Head down Commerce Parkway along the same route that I just showed you, and then at the point of crossing the pedestrian bridge, turn around and come back if you're a runner, if you want to do the 10K, or if you just want to walk a 5K, we'll have folks getting bused to the pedestrian walkway, and then they can come in this way. At the end of the event, Sourback Drive-In will be having a movie. Downtown LaGrange will be having a dance in the downtown area. So our hope is that we can kind of expand some of the activities around Oldham County Day to create a little nightlife and some more fellowship on the Friday night before, and hopefully some of the other organizations will do additional things around that time as well. In the future, we hope to be able to pull and put a walkway completely across that entire area so that people can traverse it safely. But in addition to commemorating the history of Oldham County, this is a marker that is in Walsh Park. I took a picture of just to kind of show. I thought the committee will work on what type of areas we will use to kind of acknowledge maybe milestones that have happened in Oldham County or areas of Oldham County that are of note. And we thought something like this would be a good way to have markers along the trail so folks could see how long they've gone and maybe have a little bit more of Oldham County history there provided by those markers. So the event will be on July 19th this year at 6 p.m. It'll start at Sourback Family Drive-In, and we hope to have a great turnout for that. On Tuesday of next week, the link will go live where folks can register for that. There will be a small entry fee just to have folks have skin in the game to be able to come participate in doing that. And we were hoping that Judge Vogel or a representative of Fiscal Court might be available to come issue a proclamation, and then we could make a memorialization of the Oldham County Bicentennial Trail. One further comment on this, there is a lot of effort that had gone into this project prior to this. There was a Oldham County Greenways group who we've reached out to. I'll be meeting with Paul Cappiello on Thursday to kind of get caught up on where the Greenways group was left. Maggie Terry was also part of that. And so what we want to do is acknowledge all of the effort, the money, and the planning that was put in to get the walkway where it is. And we know that the Planning and Development Office has worked really well with KIPTA in having funds set aside for some of the parts of the trail that are still designed or that are already designed, that we can keep moving those forward. So one, we want to make sure that we can say thanks for all of that work that's done, and then we can take that work, invite those folks to get re-engaged, and then perhaps with the help of these organizations, we can kind of boost the message and the signal of it and put some resources and effort behind it to get the community to know it's an option. So wanted to come by and talk to you about that today and invite you to be part of it, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right, look, David, thank you. It looks like a really good project. I'm excited about it, and it's another way to commemorate the bicentennial and also build up our reputation as the healthiest county in Kentucky. Anyone have any questions? Magistrate Hawkins.
I appreciate the connectivity, as you know, And in Economic Development Committee, we talked about incorporating the name Greenways. Are you going to present that when you talk to Paul or Maggie?
Yes, we felt we should discuss that with them before we go ahead and, before we were to commandeer it.
Gotcha.
Wanted to make sure that we had their buy-in and understood what their perspective was, where the project had been left, and, we have a lot to do. This has been something that kind of came out of a chamber board meeting. Nancy Tice is on our board, and we were looking for a quality of life project, and so I think that it's really important to acknowledge the work that happened before we got involved with it.
Even if it's just that, like that strip on Commerce could be just the Greenway section of the Bicentennial Trail.
Sure. We have a kind of a preliminary logo. We were thinking, Oldham County Greenways with the original logo that was made by the Greenways Group, and then Bicentennial Trail as kind of a moniker under it.
That's cool.
So.
All right. Well, thank you, David. Best of luck. Keep us posted on this. It sounds like a great project.
Thank you.
And that also brings up this is a project, but the Bicentennial is a county program, excuse me, that is not limited just to the activities of the Bicentennial Committee. Any organization in the community that would like to do something to help commemorate the Bicentennial is very welcome to organize and try to do something, work with the committee if they'd like to, but anything to raise the reminder that the county's now 200 years old, and we're proud of our county and everything that's happened, and all of us today are standing on the shoulders of all those who went forward before us, and every organization in our community has a history, and certainly invite the people who are part of those organizations today to bring back or bring out the history of the group that they're continuing to support and be part of. So thank you, David, and we thank everyone who's participating in the Bicentennial. The next item on our agenda today has to do with the paying our bills, and when you're ready, we'll take the motion.
Judge, I'll
Motion
make
pay
the
bills.
motion, we pay the payables.
Any questions on the payables? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Next item has to do with budget transfers, and Pat Metter, county clerk, county treasurer. I'll get your title here right, yes.
Pardon, Judge?
I said I called you county attorney, county clerk. I finally got the county treasurer, so.
County Treasurer works. Good afternoon, members of the court. The quarter end requires approval of budget transfers by the court. Ask for your approval of the budget transfers totaling $437,914.81.
Judge, these were emailed out to the Finance Committee, and we did get a chance to look at them, although we didn't have a meeting today. But by voice vote, the Finance Committee has approved the budget transfers.
All right, thank you. We have recommendation to approve. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion, sir.
I'll second it.
All right. Are there any questions from any of the magistrates on any of the transfers here? All right. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Next item has to do with the contract award for the Curry's Fork fiscal year 22 319H Basin Assessment. All right,
Yes.
Jim, you want to explain that? That's
Yes,
a
please.
mouthful.
As part of the 319H grant, which is the Division of Water grant with Oldham County Fiscal Court for the Curry's Fork Basin, a component of that was basin assessments to address sedimentation of Crystal Lake. So we requested proposals from three consultants. Two of them were below the $30,000 limit to request quotes. One of them was low, that was Res at $28,500. The scope is to address or to assess two sites, two locations, and then once a location is selected, after consultation with our office, design a basin, a sedimentation basin to address this issue. There's also a smaller component of this scope which would be to install a water quality component to an existing basin that resides behind the Oldham County Health Department. So this contract is associated again with the approved grant with the Division of Water, and we would need to proceed forward as scoped in that grant. So I'm requesting fiscal court approve this contract or in proposal, and we'll give notice to proceed to RES. And the amount again was $28,500.
Judge, I'll, if you're ready for a motion,
Yes, sir.
I will move that we file for this grant in the amount of $28,500 for the Curry's Fork Watershed Detention Basin Assessment, Design, and Retrofit Project.
Second.
And can I amend that? I think you said apply for a grant. This is actually,
I'm
it's
sorry.
part of the grant. We're agreeing the proposal from RES.
Gotcha. I'll correct my motion to that
Thank you.
effect.
I'll still second it.
Manager Dye.
Aren't you asking for the court to give the judge permission to sign this document?
We don't have a contract with them. They submitted a proposal, and I would give them notice to proceed with this approval or award. We can
That
add
work
that
for you?
if they
That
provide a
work for you?
contract.
I think so. I mean,
right,
I guess
okay,
it's,
all right.
do we need a contract for this?
We had scoped this out for them, so I don't know that a proposal is required, or I'm sorry, a contract is required for your signature.
Okay, well, what if they don't fulfill the various?
I can have them submit one, and we can amend that motion to have the judge sign, and of course, I'd have to have Mr. Baxter review that upon receipt.
Judge, we use res in ODA, and there'll be some sort of a contractual
Okay.
thing that you'll have to do. And so if you want a little more information, just contact me after court. I'll get with you.
I'm willing to add that to my motion if that's appropriate.
All right, so we're adding that we generate a contract for this.
For
all
you to
right?
sign, correct.
For me to sign, all right? Of course, all right with me signing it and not bringing it back here again?
Yeah,
Okay.
as
Is
long as Mr. Baxter is happy with it.
Jim, just one quick question. Will that slow the project down, or, I mean, I know he has to be reviewed by Barry, so, okay.
No.
No, Barry won't.
It will
He never
not.
slows anything down.
That is correct.
But
All
I've got a
right.
question.
The Magistrate Hounds.
It's not to exceed that amount. I mean, is that with the scope? Are we thinking that, I mean, I guess we're approving the 28.5, I understand that, but I mean, when I look at the scope, I mean, I have no idea what some of this stuff is going to cost. I mean, is that a number that they're going to be able to fulfill with the scope?
Right, so that's the lump sum amount that they would charge to complete all the tasks that we requested.
Okay.
It's not to exceed, and it's not billed hourly up to that point. It's, they could bill monthly, but the total amount will be $28,500, not less.
And I looked at part of this and I got sidetracked admittedly, but will there be a report then that you'll bring back to stormwater, back to fiscal court, or what's our
So
return?
the ultimate deliverable is a design for the basin. Now, that design isn't, or I'm sorry, the construction of that design is not included in the grant right now. It would be a component of future grant work. So the goal is to get a design for a basin here.
And why is the area picked behind the health department?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
Well, so the grant originally included trying to address Curry's Fork through the I-71 construction. Alternatively, though, we felt it would be easier to address it, to approach the different basins in the Curry's Fork watershed that feed Curry's Fork in I-71. So we have 10 or 12, known basins, stormwater detention basins in that area. We could individually put water quality components on those basins to address the issue.
Okay, then.
And so this is just one of those, and just starting with one and then moving forward.
Okay, then I guess I go back to why isn't this something that KYTC then is working on? Because, I mean, it's their, not trying to split atoms, but it's their roadway that's feeding potentially what we don't want in Curry's Fork, right?
Well, so the water quality component, which I think we've discussed in the past, if you've been involved in some of the Curry's Fork or our engineering department discussions about the current ordinance and the requirements for the 210 and 100-year storm and our current water quality component consideration, there's an additional consideration that we've been looking at called Q critical, the critical flow that addresses more of erosion from smaller storms and more regular events. So this is to address something that's above and beyond even what we would typically address in our ordinance in order to address the issues within the Curry's Fork watershed. So that's what it's not, it wouldn't be typical to address this within that I-71 project.
Okay. And you and I have had this conversation. We look at some of these stormwater basins that we build and never see any water in them. And I mean, I guess are some of these that we're building for the 100-year flood specifically, we're hedging our bets?
No, and there's some of them, actually I can think of the rocket storage, well now, is it People's Choice storage on Commerce Parkway. We've observed that one holding water. So they are functioning on the 210 and 100-year storm generally. Are there some that aren't? That's true, and they can be, whether it's putting a restrictor plate on them or some other modification, that's something we can look at. But
the one we're talking about building behind the
one behind the health department is built, and this is to add an additional feature to it to address this other storm event. It's already there.
Okay, well, that's what I said. I pulled it up on GIS, and I'm like, well, that looks
It's
like
very small.
Okay. Wasn't sure. Now, the picture's clear now.
Yeah.
Or,
Mr. Hounds, I would say after last night's storm, that it's probably a lot of water in there today. So
5 inches fast is going to be a problem, but, you know, other parts of the county didn't see a drop, like me.
right.
Magistrate Tice.
As we're watching Commerce Parkway develop and more stuff being put on it, we're watching some of the valleys that are flowing down under Commerce Parkway into detention basins or whatever between there and I-71. I've seen a lot of earth being moved, like it's being moved into the water flow, and my concern is are those people that are developing this and changing the natural flow of that, are they getting permission from us, or do they have to get permission from the state? The one thing that I think in my mind, if for some reason they alter it as they're doing work and nobody says you can't, I can't think of anything worse than if all of a sudden we have a flood on 71 going across the road. So I guess mine is a couple of questions. Number one is, are we watching the change of the terrain or the flow of that?
So the answer is yes, and it's through a couple different channels or checks and balances. One, if it affects the Blue Line stream, it's not only being reviewed and approved by Oldham County Fiscal Court's engineering office through my staff, but if it's a Blue Line stream, it's also being reviewed by either the Kentucky Division of Water or the Army Corps of Engineers. Now, some of these areas along Commerce Parkway, there are existing older regional basins, and typically what would happen with those is during our review, we'll have them ensure that the basin's functioning properly if they're affecting that one, and then also implement the new water quality standard that's part of our current ordinance if it wasn't included in those older designs. Then in the areas that are outside those regional basins, they are building a new basin as needed.
And good, that's what I wanted to hear.
So the answer is yes.
We're looking at it, and it's under review by us before it's approved and all that
That's
stuff. Good, thank you. Yeah.
Anyone else? All right, hearing no further questions, shall we go ahead with the project and get the contract that we referred to? And all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda has to do with the Oldham County culvert replacements. And
Yeah,
Jim,
so
you're going to take care of that as well.
that's right. So Fiscal Court opened bids and approved a contract with Louisville Paving to replace several culverts. In the current fiscal year budget, there's $300,000 for road improvements, and this was coming out of that line item. The bids for that were very competitive. let's see, we had our low bidder was Louisville Paving at $157,746, so we had remaining funds. With those remaining funds, we were looking at another, we had another culvert that's actually on Carpenter Drive that needs to be replaced. If you drive by there from Peyton Lane, it's on the right, and you'll see cones marking where the edge of the road's actually cracking off. So we need to replace this culvert. It's relatively long and deep, so it's more expensive than the others, but the price that Louisville Paving gave us to do this work in conjunction with their other culvert replacements is $46,520. Again, based on the scope, the length and depth of this, that seemed reasonable compared to the other culverts. So I'm asking fiscal court to approve a contract amendment in the amount of $46,520 to add this culvert to the project. And I think it's notable that even adding that amount, the total contract of $204,266 is about $4,000 less than the second bidder on that project. So we're still well under budget.
Judge, I'll make the motion that we contract with Louisville Paving for the culvert replacement on Carpenter Drive.
Second.
Moved and seconded, discussions, Mayor Shaddai.
Jim, you got $94,000 left in the pot, you say?
That's correct.
You can go back and reopen that contract and tell Louisville Paving we've got 94. Is there some other smaller job you can do since they're
Well,
going to be out of the
I've-
equipment anyway?
We can look at that. I've also looked at some work that needs to be done on Francis Avenue approach on Holly Gibson to keep stormwater on Holly Gibson. So I've actually submitted requests for quotes from contractors to give us a price on that work. So we're looking to see how we can utilize that money on some other
Well,
projects
it
since it's
doesn't-
available.
It doesn't make a lot of sense to put the money into the budget and then not use it. It's just going to roll over next year, then you're going to be going through next year what you possibly could have done this year.
Yeah.
That's all.
Again, it causes us to have to kind of scramble to find more work, but it's a good problem to have when we get really aggressive competitive bids.
Do we have a list of the culverts all throughout, I guess they just come up as they come up? It's
We
not
have
like it's
some-
there's not a big running list.
We have it kind of projected out, but they do come to us also as they're discovered.
Could you not go to the, say, okay, we're going to put X number of dollars into this project and give them the whole list, say, okay, you all pick out, this is the priority list here, some other more creative way to bid it?
I think you could, but then you have to, again, we tried to scope this based on previous prices on culverts, and we built the list and the scope. It just came in very competitive. So.
Yeah, okay. I believe in creativity.
Magistrate Jeffries.
Just to follow up and let the court know, this did come through road committee today, and a committee voted to send this on for a recommendation for approval.
Okay. All right. All right, seeing no other questions, all in favor of, spending another $46,520 for Carpenter Drive here, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Here we go now with the environmental recycling and utilities part of the agenda, the comprehensive solid waste management ordinance, first reading. Becky.
Thank you, Judge, and thank you, members of the fiscal court. What I'm presenting to the county is a complete overhaul of all of our solid waste ordinances. You have a copy of all of the existing ordinances in comparison to the new comprehensive ordinance. The new comprehensive ordinance is in a logical fashion. It's easy to read. It's easy to find what it is you are looking for as far as an ordinance is concerned, or a portion of that ordinance. It irons out some wrinkles that we have in the existing ordinance, particularly in the franchise ordinance, and also in our solid waste disposal ordinance. We have portions that are not, that are questionable, that people are possibly in violation of, but there's no teeth in the existing ordinance to hold anybody accountable. So I've ironed out those and tightened up this ordinance and expanded it to include things like recycling and not mandatory, recommended or endorsed, and also composting. Again, just recommended, endorsed. So I invite any questions.
All right, we normally don't do too much questioning on the first reading, but we'll permit a question or two for clarification's sake versus debate.
Yes.
Mr. Woosley.
I do have a couple of questions. One of them, as I read through this, there's a change in the renter landlord. So the landlord is going to be responsible for the fee, and that's a
Right.
change from the other one.
Yes,
from the
that
new
is a
code.
change. And I've written that portion of the ordinance to allow the landlord to suspend the service while the dwelling is not occupied. So it's only while the dwelling is occupied and under a lease agreement that the property owner would be responsible for trash service.
And I spoke with Magistrate Hawkins about this morning, but the mandatory collection starting in 2025, we are going to mandate every city, every homeowners association that already has existing contracts with companies to use the same company the county is using.
That's under the franchise section of the
No, it's under the
ordinance?
mandatory collection, section 1.2.
Okay, no. All right, let me define mandatory versus universal. The county is currently under universal collection. In other words, we make trash service available to the entire county. Our 4 of our cities, and a number of HOAs have their own contract, most of them with Republic Services. Some of them are still using other providers, other contractors, but they have their own contract.
Okay, so we're not going to make them come under our contract.
No,
Okay,
we would
I-
only, in the franchise section, let me go back. Those specific cities are what's called mandatory. In other words, they require that all of their citizens have trash service, but they also have a way of collecting those fees, and then they pay the trash service directly. That, like, for instance, the city of LaGrange collects all of their fees through the water bill, and then the city pays Republic for their service. That's mandatory.
Okay, clarification?
Yes, just a clarification. So the cities that currently, or HOAs, currently, are they all collected by Republic, or do they have the option to use another company?
Most of them are collected by Republic
Okay.
and have their own contracts. Some of them do not, and that's the foggy part of our current franchise ordinance, is the spirit of that original 2004 ordinance, the existing ordinance, was that all communities that fall under what's called the solid waste management area, which includes all 6 cities in the entirety of the county, would fall under this, have the same contractor, not the same contract, the same contractor for
And is
trash
that-
service.
And is that the same, will be the same under this new agreement?
We have a grandfather clause in this new ordinance that allows those communities that have a contract with a company other than what the county will end up choosing, because we're in our last year of this existing contract. So our grandfather date is January 31st, 2025. So any community having another contractor on that date will be allowed to see the end of that contract, and then will have to adhere to the county's contractor.
So after that initial contract period, which is what, 5 years?
Yes.
And then after the 5 year,
Let me step back.
okay.
I don't know how long those individual contracts are. Usually, it's around 5 years. The maximum that any franchise contract can exist is 20 years.
Okay. My only concern, well, I guess you want to get into a
We're
discussion.
not going to get into discussion.
Right,
We're just,
okay. Yep.
Save that for next time.
That answered my question. Thank you.
All right, Magistrate Lawson.
Clarification only. I talked to the mayors, and they're okay with it. My problem, will there be a clause in there that will allow future mayors to opt out if they want to? Because I hate
They
to tie
have the
somebody's...
option of not opting into the solid waste management area plan update. So as long as they sign on to the the solid waste management area plan update, the plan, which is different from the ordinance, and all the cities sign on to that. So if they can create their own solid waste management area plan themselves for their own city. That's their option.
But for clarification, if they sign on, will future mayors be able to sign off?
No. As long as the city is part of the solid waste management area, as long as they sign in as a part of the solid waste management area, then that city is obligated.
But they can not sign on?
Yes, they cannot sign on, but that means the state requires them to create their own plan.
Right. I guess for clarification purposes, my only problem is if Mayor Rogers wants to go along with it right now, 2 mayors down might not want it. So he's tying the hands of everybody else from him on down.
No, not true. You're not quite understanding.
That's why
I'm talking about two different documents. This is an ordinance, actually 3. And there'll be a contract, but there's a plan. There's a solid waste management area plan. And that comes around every 5 years. Next year is the next one.
So in 5 years, if Pee Wee Valley didn't want to sign on, they wouldn't have to?
They could choose to go on their own and submit to the state their own solid waste management area plan. And they would be their own solid waste area. So, that's plan is referenced in this ordinance.
Okay. That's what I want to make sure.
Magistrate Hawkins.
When reading this, I didn't see anywhere where it says exceptions, so I've kind of got a lot of chicken scratch on my copy, but under the franchise requirement, it doesn't say county contractor or other current contractor. It just says county contractor.
Correct.
So if a current contract, say of Pee Wee Valley, expires, there's nothing in here that would grandfather them the allowance to be able to continue with their service. They would have to come on to what the fiscal court has determined, and then the franchise that we come to agree upon after it's bid out.
Okay. When the city contract expires, they can renegotiate a new contract with the contractor that the county has chosen. They don't have to use our contract. They can make their own contract.
So say in 2025, after we get out all the bids, say later this year, and we choose Company A, they can negotiate their own contract with Company A. However, they would not be grandfathered in to use their own company, B, C, D, or E, that they're already with. as I read it. So, for example, Pee Wee Valley, I don't know who Pee Wee Valley uses.
Let's just say they use BFI now, and they wanted to go to Rumpke in 5 years.
The ultimate goal of this ordinance is that all the communities within the solid waste management area will be under one contractor, not contract, contractor.
So then that takes out local control from the HOAs or from Pee Wee Valley, LaGrange. What's the other one? River Valley? I was trying to think of what else.
River Bluff.
River Bluff, okay.
What do you mean by local control?
So the local Pee Wee Valley mayor and his city council could no longer negotiate with their contractor or their provider that they currently have, if it should happen to be different than the one that we choose starting in January 2025.
They'd be free to negotiate their own contract with the provider, the contractor that the county has.
Right, but not their own, say, BFI or whatever, unless we have chosen that one.
Economies of scale would say that they would want to do the same contractor that the county is using because of less frequency coming into the county.
Correct.
One would think that,
We're
but
getting close to starting to,
Yeah.
what we're not supposed to do, but it bounds the future mayors
Let's
from doing
keep the arguments, this was for clarification.
okay.
Right.
Okay.
And the purpose of, I mean, it benefits the county to have the entire county on board because it helps us negotiate a lower price.
Plus, I'd say I personally wouldn't like to see 6 different garbage company trucks running all over the county, because when the road gets beat up, nobody's going to accept responsibility.
And that's one of the main reasons.
Got one contractor,
yes.
we know who did it.
Right. It's one of the main reasons that we adopted this ordinance in the first place. It also gives us control over the contractor.
Okay. One more clarification, Manager Tice.
Yeah. Is it possible that we could have a work session between now and when we vote this in?
Yes, I think this should go to the environmental committee and
then
take it apart.
And what I'm asking is not only for the environmental, but to bring it up and discuss it with the full magistrates or whoever is interested enough to be there so that we can learn all about it. Because it's 26 pages of stuff that I don't read every day, and I've already read it once, and it would be nice that we could pick it apart. Because what we'll do is if we don't have a work session, then we're going to have it in court in either 2 weeks or 4 weeks, and we're just going to wear ourselves out and get mad at everybody and not do the job right.
So,
Right. Well, let us work on that. I agree, this is a complicated subject, not easily understood by any of us sitting here. Probably none of us, has a really strong understanding of the entire ordinance as it exists now or as it's being proposed. So let's work on the environmental committee, but I think we could have another session or two where magistrates could meet with Becky and go over, as long as we don't have a meeting, 2 or 3 magistrates at a time could sit down and ask questions, so.
Okay.
We'll get that worked out. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, let's go on then. We've had the first reading, it'll be on our website, and we'll take this up at the first meeting, I guess, in June. Would that be correct?
the environmental recycling utilities will meet first Tuesday in May. This wasn't
I'm
ready
in
for.
May, all right.
Yeah, this wasn't completely finished by the time.
Well, maybe you could have a meeting in between then.
Yep. So I think the second reading's supposed to be proposed for second or third Tuesday
Right.
in May. We're meeting on the first Tuesday of May in the committee. But my concern was that there would be too many changes and Mr. Baxter would not be happy going into
Okay,
this.
well, let's ask the franchise, this isn't up until the end of the year, right?
Correct.
So I guess the obvious question is, what's the rush?
The rush is that if we should change to a different contractor, we're asking everyone in the county to change their trash service. We have to give people time to make that change.
And what would be involved in that?
switching out
Everybody getting
carts.
new garbage receptacles or something?
Right. I mean, one company is picking up carts, another company is dropping off.
So in other words, this can't be turned around on a dime here.
No, you cannot.
They should die.
This is for clarification. My subdivision, we negotiate the contract with the current vendor for the county Republic. We get a better price than Oldham County gets because it's more compact. They can get in and get out very quickly. What everybody needs to think about going to, I think there's 3 or 4 different vendors that can do this. They don't all offer exactly the same service. And that's what needs to be explained a little further, not today, because it wouldn't be for clarification, but it's this work session you're talking about, and I think that it would all become rather clear. But if you got to have this, if you come to this work session, you got to have distinct questions about this, because it's a little complicated. But that would be my suggestion.
All right.
But may I thank Becky for all the work that she's put into getting, there's 4, and we're trying to condense it into 1 and make it very clear. So she's put a lot of work into it.
Thank you.
Right, and what would you say would be, from your point of view, the ideal time to have this completed?
I would say no later than the first, the third Tuesday in May.
You know, people need 6 months to get this squared around?
May.
If the contract isn't up till the end of the year, why do we have to have 6 months head start on it?
Well,
I mean,
first
would
of all,
90 days be sufficient, or 120 days?
well, first of all, we need to also look at how we're going to look at these bids and proposals that the trash companies would be giving us. Because I'm just trying to imagine you opening bids, and what would you read?
Okay, so are you proposing that we look at what they're willing to do versus what we say are the specs that we want accomplished?
I'm not sure how that's going to happen, because I'm trying to find evidence of what happened the last time this was brought
I
before the
mean, wouldn't
fiscal
we
court.
put out, here's A, B, C, D, here's exactly what we want to happen in this bid, and here's what is your price versus what are you willing to do?
Well, there's price, there's also the franchise fee, there's the services, there's the binding elements, there's a whole package of what they could offer. And I'm wondering if maybe it might be a presentation by each of the companies to the fiscal court directly.
We don't have a scope of work already created for this?
Well, it's in our contract, but there's a lot of pieces to our existing contract.
Okay, but can't we take the current contract and create a scope of work?
Sure, we could do that, but how would that be presented to you?
The
And how
committee
would they
create the
reduce
scope of
that
work.
to a bid?
Very simply, they take the scope of work and bid on the scope of work. It's no different than Jim Silliman doing a culvert project.
Okay, so we've got the residential price, and what does that include? We've got the commercial prices.
Agreed. You have to create a bid document through the scope of work that's a fillable document. So when the judge opens it up, he says how many ever categories there are. If you want him to bid 7 categories or 15, well, that's what you're going to have to do to compare apples to apples.
It's a lot,
Okay.
okay.
Judge,
Right, I mean, I assume that's what we have now, don't we? Or are we looking at so much confusion, there's a lot of loopholes in what we have or something, or what?
I think maybe I could bring this up at this the special meeting we have, or, because I've been looking at just how I would put this together and pulling it from the existing contract, and I'm having some difficulty.
Okay. All right, well, we'll work with you on this
Okay.
and to see what we can get here. I mean, I understand I think what I hear you saying is there are many pieces to this puzzle to put them all together. And we're sitting here in maybe a simplified perspective saying, here's, we want you to pick up our trash every 6 days. You're going to take it to this landfill. You're going to have a certain type of vehicle on the road. What's all, what is involved in what we want
Right.
versus, I know of a place where it's was picked up twice a week. All of a sudden now they're picking it up once a week.
Right.
But, and they pick up brush, yard waste in a different container on certain days. You have to put it on the other side of the driveway. There's quite a few variables to this whole thing here.
Recycling as well.
And recycling, it's voluntary, do we want to?
Totally
The
voluntary.
renegotiated contract that you're talking about, and I'm familiar with that contract, that they renegotiated that contract to keep the price down. That's why they went from twice to once.
once, yeah.
It was raised price or reduced service. You take the choice. Check the box.
Well, anyway, and there's commercial, okay, so
There's a lot.
let's look at this, all right?
Yeah, it's a lot.
We've moved away from the talking about the first reading of an ordinance. We got all the way to the contracts. We're way off base there right now.
Well, Bob, you say we're way off base, but I don't think we're off base. We're here to provide a public service in a clarified, clear way. We're not here to cover anything up or to obfuscate anything or make it confusing to anybody. All of this is in an effort to add some clarification, bring more sunlight for all of us who are making this decision into it. And I agree. It's a complicated
All
subject.
I'm saying, Judge, is we were talking about the ordinance.
Yeah,
You got to have the ordinance before you start talking about the contract.
right.
Right. And well, that's the point, and that was the time frame issue.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, well, take this to the environmental committee
Okay.
and start working with them, but we'll work with you from my
Okay.
office as well.
But the date for the second reading is crucial as far as putting this out for public comment and making a public notice. So,
It has to be the second. If the committee's not going to meet till then it
Yeah.
has to be the date of the second.
it would have to be
May.
May 7th. Yeah,
No, it would be May 21st.
May 21st.
The committee
The
doesn't.
committee could meet sooner. There's no requirement the committee not meet in between
Judge-
now and the next
Yeah.
scheduled meeting.
One of my concerns is if we do make changes, what does our county attorney deem as too many changes to then allow a second reading?
You're asking me a question I can't answer. You're asking me a question I can't answer until I
Right.
know what the changes are.
Okay.
You all might decide that we don't have solid waste in Oldham County and that we have liquid waste, and you completely alter what we're doing, and then then we have a different problem.
We have a
Just have to
chemistry
see
problem
what
in
you-
that case.
We just have to see what happens. So do you all meet before the next fiscal court meeting? Is that when what time's the
Yes,
meeting?
noon.
Try to put it on my calendar.
Okay, well, we, tried to bring clarification, we probably brought confusion instead here, but, all right, you've got an ordinance you want to present, but we have a lot of, and then once the ordinance is out there, then the contract is a different item
Right,
as to exactly what they're going to provide
right.
under the ordinance, so.
That's right.
Right.
The ordinance doesn't have to specify how many times a week you're going to pick it up, that would be in the contract. Am I correct?
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Judge,
Well, let's work on one thing at a time.
if we could have a special work session, then that would clear it up for a lot of us on what's in the contract.
Well, wait, what's in the ordinance?
Oh, what's in the ordinance, excuse me, I didn't say that right. So what's in the ordinance? And I'm just looking at the next 3 weeks, this meeting here versus the next one in May, we will have, not 2 weeks, but we'll have an additional week.
Okay.
That would be, in my mind, a perfect opportunity to just get through the understanding of the ordinance, and then we can move through adopting that ordinance and then go forward with whatever we need to do in contracting the new ordinance. but it'd be great if we, and I don't mean a half an hour show, I'm talking about a couple to 3 hours to make sure we can move through this thoroughly and help everybody to understand.
And if I may piggyback on what Magistrate Tice just said, the ordinance comes before the contract. However, the contract is generally 5 years minimum. So,
Yes.
so that's why this is so important to get this right, because we're affected for at least the next 5 years.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, thank you, Becky.
Thank you.
Human Resources here, we have that's item F under Committee Reports and Recommendations, and we have a job description here for a range manager for the new building that we're working on to create for our law enforcement services. Is there,
Judge.
Magistrate Logson?
Yes, just to expand on that, this job description is for the range manager, schedule and greet customers, responsibility for ensuring safety and maintaining the cleanliness of the shooting range. It will be 20 hours, a part-time job, it's 20 hours a week, $20 an hour. So, you know, we didn't have a meeting today. I was in Frankfurt, apologize for that. But I did talk to the Human Resources, and our recommendation is to go ahead with this job description.
All right.
I'll second that.
Okay, moved and seconded. Are there questions about the job description? Measure Tice.
Are we making sure that the qualifications for this job ensures us to having a qualified person that understands firearms and all of the stuff that goes with it? As I was looking through what was on the list, we were only requiring a high school education or GED or whatever, and I didn't see as much effort to make sure that we had a really qualified person, and that's all I was bringing up in regard to that.
I want to ask Chief Smith to address that, please.
It also says in there, basic firearms and shooting range procedures.
Pardon me?
It also says in there with the GED, basic knowledge of firearms and shooting range procedures. So it's in there, it's in the job description.
Is that, since you said that, I'll tee that off if I can to the chief here.
Yeah,
Does that tell us all we need to know to protect ourselves in liability and have a good qualified person?
Well, I think so. We interviewed Mr. Torres. He's an armorer. He's a past firearms instructor. He's worked the range for a number of years. He knows how to maintenance equipment, which is very critical. And talking to him, I mean, he had probably more qualifications than what we expected him to have, quite frankly.
But is all we're asking what we need to ask for?
Well, I don't know until we get started. The range is being used a lot. I don't know how much we're going to need later on down the line, but for right now, he has all the skills that I think we need to maintain the range and keep it functional. And he is a past military experience. He's got a firearms instructor. I mean, he's an armorer, so he's very well versed with weapons. And also, he has run that range for a considerable amount of time, including the maintenance of the range. So after talking to him, and I'm comfortable with it.
And I guess what I'm saying is I'm not even talking about him.
Right.
I'm just thinking, do we have the requirements? And apparently he's going to meet them all. But have we specified the number of requirements? Because in 2 months, he doesn't like the job. Are our requirements good enough, or should we have anything else in there that we should be looking at? And this is a person that doesn't know anything about firearms, so that's the reason I'm asking.
I think what we're asking him to do is comprehensive what the job is. We talked to him a lot about even how he ran the range, about maintenance of the equipment. So I think what we're asking him to do is acceptable, and I think he is okay with it because he knew what we were asking him to do. Greeting the people coming in, he may not do that all the time.
Honestly, Chief, I think you might be slightly misunderstanding. Wayne wants to know if these requirements are good enough for any future person we might have we got a great guy.
Exactly.
We really like
Oh,
this
that-
guy. That
I
and
misunderstood.
I think it's, we do have, I think these requirements are adequate, because we're not gonna hire anybody who's not, just because you apply for the job, if the chief doesn't think you can do it, and you're not skilled enough, you're not gonna hire them. You know, we're not taking anybody that, you've got to be able to meet our requirements in here, to his satisfaction.
You
even-
hit it right on the head, what I was trying to ask, because I'm not talking about the gentleman we're talking about. I'm just making sure that
In the
we're
future.
asking, for future, are we asking all that we need to be
Right,
asking?
and we can
for this
always
job?
amend the job description too.
Pardon?
We can always amend the job description.
I'm sorry, I thought you were asking about him specifically.
Oh, no, sir, not at all, because I don't know that much about it, and I don't know who he is. So, that, you know, that leaves me, that would be stupid for me to ask about him at that point. I'm just talking about making sure that the next time we hire somebody, says, well, this is all we need, and all of a sudden, we realize that the first guy we hired had 4 pages worth of qualifications, and we should have stepped up to 2. But that's all the question.
Well, I don't think we're ever going to bring in anybody that we don't think is a grand slam. You know, you're working with firearms down there and
I think
equipment and.
one of the critical components, though, is the maintenance of the equipment, especially the targeting systems. Currently, the targeting systems is a system called ManCom. They don't make it anymore. So someday we're going to have to transition that out to a newer system. But he knows how to repair that. So it'll save us probably a considerable amount of time before we have to replace those systems.
Okay.
Yeah, we got a good guy here.
Yeah, I think so too.
Okay, well, and besides that, but I think Wayne's just trying to ask if these qualifications are good, that would fit anybody 10 years from now. Well, we'll worry about that day when it comes, and whoever, we're not going to hire anybody that is not
Right.
of the highest caliber for the position.
Okay, I got you.
Didn't mean to use a double on caliber, is that?
Close enough.
Close enough.
Close enough.
All right, thank you.
Okay, sure.
Anything to report? Okay, well, I won't get into something else here with that. Any other questions here? On the job description, hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Just a clarification, the job description, I mean, it was to hire this individual, correct, or?
No.
Well, that's the job description. The next step
Oh,
is,
okay,
the
gotcha.
next step is to
Okay.
hire this individual.
Perfect.
Right. All right, so now is the next step for the range personnel here to hire Tom Torres, part-time range manager, effective tomorrow, I guess. Today is the 16th, isn't it? Yeah, tomorrow, so at $20 an hour. I'll make that recommendation and ask for a second. Second, all right. Any discussion?
Yes.
Okay.
That's $20 flat, no benefits.
No, right, it's just flat $20, yeah. Right.
Okay.
All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All right, motion carries, thank you. It's up to the second public comment. Is there anybody like to address the court at this point? All right. Hi, Mike. Deputy Mike Meese, welcome.
Thank you, sir. Just wanted to make an announcement to the magistrates and the public that, as you're aware, on April 27th, a week from this coming Saturday, the Oldham County Sheriff's Office and Police Department will be partnering with the DEA, hosting our semi-annual DEA Drug Take Back Day. We're having 3 locations this year: the LaGrange Fire Station 2, which is at 3637 West Highway 146 in Buckner, the Oldham County Police Department at 1855 North Highway 393, and the Kroger in LaGrange at 2034 South Highway 53. Our last drug take back, we accumulated from the public over 380 pounds. These continue to be highly controlled substances that need to be out of medicine cabinets so they don't fall into the wrong hands or going into our waterways.
Mike, can you put your flyer up so we can show
Sure.
that?
Not sure how.
I don't know how to operate that thing.
There it is.
It's up there.
It's up there.
Okay, there we go.
Well, now Jay's messing with it.
Was it on our screen at home?
Deputies, what time are you guys going to be there?
You broke it.
Maybe it's coming back up. There
There we go.
Okay, so, can I move it around? There we go. And the times will be from 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. on the 27th. Just in totality, over the last 2 years, we've brought in close to 1,300 pounds. Thousands upon thousands of controlled substances that are now safely disposed of. I also want to mention the Coalition for a Healthy Oldham County has also partnered with us in supporting some of the publication of this, getting it out to the public, and we certainly appreciate it.
All right, thank you. That's on the 27th, and I'll have a few things to drop in the hopper there myself. So,
All right.
All right, thank you. Appreciate the good work you do on that. And
Jim Allegan, President of Crystal Lake, 146 Oldham View Drive. I just want to thank the fiscal court for approving that grant activity for the water quality improvement that you did earlier today. And the Crystal Lake will continue to help work on trying to improve the quality down in coming through Curry's Creek. We're just a fat part of Curry's Creek. So he had mentioned it was Crystal Lake, but it's really Curry's Creek. Just to reiterate, that's a new technique that they're trying to do to prevent. Q critical is to manage it when the water flow for any particular creek dislodges the silt and makes it flow. So it's not based on 100-year or 50-year, 20-year. It's kind of a new thing. So this is also an experimental application, so we will be supporting any kind of educational activities they want to come and see for all people around the state
Jim,
and
they
around the
can't hear
county
you
to
in the
come.
back. They can't hear you in the back.
So we'll be supporting whatever we can to help make sure it's accessible for educational purposes, because this was really a design experiment for the county and people in the state. So thank you very much.
all right, thank you. Deputy Meese was talking about people voluntarily turning in extra prescriptions. We're not just waiting for people to voluntarily do it. We're also going out and taking it away from people. Chief, can you, I'll put you on the spot here again, come up, and we've had some nice stings, if you will, or interceptions on I-71. We've got some eagle eyes out there, and we've had a couple of successful strikes, and I just wanted you to share those with the court and the public.
Yeah, I tell you, the shifts that'll work in the evening, particularly Sergeant Durrett's shift, has spent a lot of time working 71, not just for interdiction of narcotics, but for speeders and reckless drivers and anything that might be coming into our county. During the course of this, they've made some considerable, very good seizures. Probably the most prominent one that they found was a kilo of uncut fentanyl. It's coming from the, I think, Detroit area down to the Tennessee area, and they intercepted it. That probably could have killed a lot of people. I mean, so it was an excellent job. A couple weeks ago, they got a car that has 67 pounds of marijuana in it, a bunch of guns. So they're doing very well. But that's just the seizures that they're getting. On top of that, we routinely, every day, work at Interstate 71. But at nighttime is when most of these drugs are passing through the county. And it's not just that we don't believe that it's always going outside of the county. We believe some of this is coming into our county. So I think they're doing an exceptionally good job, and under the leadership of Sergeant Durrett, they're working well. And we have spent some money getting our officers trained in how to spot couriers. I think that helps. It helps in their presentation as court as well when they've had the official training to how to, what to look for, what to see in some of these interdiction areas. So I think as a comprehensive plan that they're working on, it's working very well. And that kilo of fentanyl, it's hard to say what would happen if that had gotten out on the street. So I think a lot of kudos to them, the hard work, dangerous work. And they've had people in the cars that as they have approached them, that They said momentarily you could tell that they were looking at the weapons they had with them, do they or don't they? I think our training and how to approach these cars and how to take these cars down has been very beneficial for their safety and the safety of those we're stopping. So I think it's a very good process or operation going on.
All right, well, that's great. I mean,
And our evidence room is full. I mean, they're doing a really good job. And it's kind of odd because we don't have the best ventilation in our property room. And when you get a fresh load of marijuana in, you can kind of smell it throughout the building. And several people walk in, you can tell they're stand there and just kind of sniff for a minute. And I have to tell them all the time, it's not us, I promise, it's not us, coming out of the property room, but they're really doing a very good job. Very
great.
good job.
Well, tell our people congratulations, and we're proud of all of our law enforcement in this county, and everybody's doing a great job on all their responsibilities.
The other night shift under Sergeant Davison is doing well too, but the drug dog is on Dirt's platoon, so they have a little bit of advantage in using that drug dog in combination of what they spot, what they see.
Right, we do have this drug dog now, and something came up in relation to the episode at Pee Wee Valley here a few weeks ago. And I know the dog is $10,000 a dog, and you have to manage it if somebody. Somebody asked, should we have a dog that tracks people? I mean, I don't know if the drug dog tracks people or is it limited to drug interdiction.
I think a tracking dog would be beneficial at times, not as much as a narcotics dog, though. When we had that incident in Pee Wee Valley, we clearly could have used a tracking dog then to track that individual. But as far as getting the most usage out of a canine, the drug dog would be more beneficial.
Right, I understand that. I didn't know if area, 6 departments had one dog and they're called on, to share the expenses and
We
whatever.
could use another drug dog, quite frankly, for the other shift. Actually, one for day work maybe, but
Really?
they are expensive. It's not just buying the dog; it's also equipping a car to handle the dog. I mean, the cage the inside of it, they can take the dog around. And when that happens, you kind of lose a patrol car because that car can't carry a prisoner. So you have to have someone working in connection with them to make it work as a team. But they're beneficial. And we've run our dogs through different places during the day, schools a couple times. Even if they don't find anything, it still sends a good message that we're looking.
Yeah, right.
But they are expensive.
Okay.
And they can be more expensive.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Good job. All right. I think we're moving toward the end of the meeting here. We'll see if the magistrates have any final comments. Magistrate Likens?
Thank you, Judge. Just wanted to announce one more time, we're having a meeting today at 6:30. It's concerning Victory Lane. We're trying to find out who owns the property the road is built on, how do we come up with the right-of-way, and how do we take it into the county road system, a lot of factors. But it will be at 6:30 at the North Oldham Fire Department today.
Thank you. Magistrate Tice?
Don't have anything today, thank you, Judge.
All right, Magistrate Woosley?
Judge, there are 3 groups that are being celebrated this week, and I just wanted to mention those. The first one is National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week. Those involve our dispatchers down at OCD. It's also National Animal Control Officer Appreciation Week and National Library Week. And just wanted to recognize those folks in our community that go above and beyond every day. On Sunday is the Blue Hydrangea Tea at downtown LaGrange from 1 to 4. That supports ovarian cancer research. And finally, I just want to thank our road department and the Team Rubicon that came into the community and helped clean up after the storms we had the last couple of weeks. Heard lots of good feedback from them and collected lots of downed trees, and just wanted to say thank you to those guys. That's all I have, Judge.
All right, thank you. Magistrate Jeffries?
Yes, Judge, just a couple things. This week started the 15th, which was yesterday. We've got National Work Zone Awareness Week. Just want to make folks in the community aware, which they should be every day, that, you know, the folks out here working on our highways and you know, slow down, keep those folks in mind or whatever. They, you know, they have families and just need to make sure that everybody's aware, you know, to how to approach those folks and, you know, don't get mad at them or whatever, because they're out there trying to improve our infrastructure. So just want to say thank you to them and just make folks aware of the National Work Zone Awareness Week. And we had, depending on what part of the county you were in yesterday or last night, we had a tremendous amount of rain. I live in the Ballardsville area, and my weather station showed about over 6 inches of rain last night in a fairly short period of time. And so if there's any damage that folks see to the road infrastructure, culverts filled up and blocked or plugged up, please reach out to your magistrates, and then we'll get in contact with our folks that will take a look at that and try to address any issues. We had quite a bit of damage out in our area, and I know LaGrange had a lot of hail and also a lot of rain. So just let's make folks aware. If you see an issue, you know, reach out to your magistrate and we'll pass that along. So.
All right, thank you. Yes, we did have a lot of rain. Magistrate Hounds.
Thank you, Judge. It seems like the weather is the topic of conversation, or has been for the past couple of weeks. And after we left court the last time, it was looking like we were going to get some storms, and we did. We had quite a bit of storm damage throughout different parts of the county, and it goes to show that the group that was working that night, not to leave anybody out, but hopefully don't leave anybody out, is the EMA, Oldham County EMS, Oldham County Central Dispatch, all the fire departments, the police department, sheriff's department, and the drone team on the initial response. And I can tell you from a person I was the second person to Chelsea Meadow, and when I came around the corner, you could see the first house that didn't have a roof on, and I thought, oh, that's bad. And then I got to looking down, and I saw the second and the third. Very much an eye-opening experience, and some of those folks weren't even in town. That was the start of spring break. It was the Monday of spring break, and they were out in Florida or wherever they were. So a lot of people have worked a lot of hours to get things secured the best we could, or best they could, and kudos to those folks that work. The road department, after the fact, called Ben and say, hey, here's a problem, and he's like, I'll put it on the list. And I haven't gotten a return phone call from anybody that said that their issue wasn't taken care of to what we said we were going to do. So just thank you for those folks that worked tirelessly that night. I know that our EMA director, Zach Wilt, I probably talked to him half a dozen times that evening, and making sure that if there was anything we could do for him, we could. The second thing I've got is the budget process. So to let the magistrates know that aren't on the finance committee, that we've been having budget meetings, budget workshops for the past, seems like forever, but it's only been like a week and a half or 2 weeks, and we're close to getting through all those. We have another set of meetings tomorrow. That hopefully we'll get through the rest of the stuff. Stan and Pat have been an integral part of getting us the information. The directors have been very helpful, very upfront, and taken some difficult questions at times, trying to understand different pieces and parts of the budget. But just to let everybody know, the magistrates know, that hopefully we're going to wrap this up and get a copy out for the rest of the court to look at. But if you have questions about anything or want to know the answer to something preliminarily, it's the judge's budget till it gets handed over, but we still get we have conversations, I guess I'll say, with the judge, or input maybe. I don't know what the right term is to use, but we're all trying to get to the same end result and make sure we've got a product that we can work on for the next fiscal year. So thank you.
All right, Magistrate Hawkins.
I wanted to mention that it's prom season, and to just kind of be cognizant of some of the cars full of kids that are kind of coming in to and from prom. Sometimes teenagers don't always make the best decisions when there's a car full of kids. So I'm just asking for a little bit of awareness on the road, and just be careful of some of these kids. And I'm just thinking about when I was a kid and just driving and acting a little bit crazy, and I don't know if things are any different these days, but I just don't want to see anybody get hurt. And then I also wanted to also thank the road department for all of their efforts, and then all the people that Magistrate Hounds mentioned as well. I appreciate keeping District 6 clean and safe. So that's all I have today, Judge.
All right, thank you. Magistrate Dye.
Yes, thank you, Judge. I was going to bring this up at the first meeting of the month, but I'll bring it up now. This is Organ Donation Month, since we're celebrating a lot of months. You can sign the back of your driver's license right here and be a donor, an organ donor. Now, I have a very close relative in my family that, and I am an organ donor, but I've got to look at the back of it, and most of it's kind of smudged out and probably wouldn't be. Somebody say, well, is that what he meant to do? Blah, blah, blah. So sign the back of your license if you want to be an organ donor, or make sure that your loved ones, if something was to happen to you, that they would know what your wishes were. You can go to the website and look up, a lot of people say, well, and I can use myself here, you're old, there's nothing on you they want. You'd be surprised what they can use. And sometimes, if given a perfect scenario, one person's demise can help 8 other people and lead normal lives. So, and there's, I think there's like 30,000 Kentuckians right now that are waiting for organ donations. Like I said, I have one that's very close to me that's probably going to need a kidney. Of course, mine, I've offered him mine because he's my brother. But he says, well, you probably haven't treated your kidney better than I did. So, but I don't know what he meant by that. But think about it. It's something that you never can tell when because you're going to be asked as a loved one to make a decision on probably one of the worst days of your lives. So think about it beforehand and be prepared to make that decision. Thank you.
All right, Magistrate Logston.
Yes, Judge.
10 minutes late today, but
I apologize for that.
We're not going to dock your salary for me.
I apologize for being late. As president of the Magistrate and Commissioner Association, I was in Frankfurt. Governor's Service Award was given to the Magistrate Association, Commissioner Association. We have 563 magistrates and commissioners in the state of Kentucky. Back in 2014, the board of directors got together and decided what we could do for service for our community, and we came up with the shoe drive. As to date, we have given out 6,700 pairs of shoes. Next board meeting, we'll just try to decide where we go. We look at economic factors, unemployment factors. We try to split the state up in 4 quadrants and go each individual one, different years. So it's a very good service award we received today, and I'm proud that we received that from the governor. So that's all I have.
All right, great, thank you.
Where's the reward?
I've joined with everybody else here to thank all of our emergency service responders. I'm issuing a blanket thank you to everybody and not running the risk of missing someone or some organization. We appreciate everybody who rolled into action during our tornado and other times here, our flooding and all the things that happened. It's just, we're really thankful for everybody who has the willingness and the ability to get out and serve the community in a tough situation. I think we've heard quite a few dates celebrated. We've heard about Organ Donor Month, Telecommunicator Week, Animal Control Officer Week, something about the Library Week, Work Zone Week. There's a lot of weeks coming up, but the next 7 days is expected to be a new grandson in the Vogel family week. So if you see me walking a little bit taller, you'll know that, we've had a successful birth. So we're looking forward to that between now and our next meeting. So,
Judge, can
Yes,
I
sir.
just follow up with Bob Dodds? Bob's 100% right, what he said. When my brother passed away in 2013, you're sitting there consoling your mother, and the hospital keeps calling you saying, hey, what about your brother? Can we use his organ? So it's not something you want to do on the minute. So I agree with Bob. You need to decide that ahead of time. So
Right.
thank you, Bob, for bringing it up.
Serious situation, right. Yeah. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.